off with the question of how do we know that the verbal form here, cried, is really a verb and is not, let's say, a noun or an adjective or something else. And the way that we know that is because this verb is ending in ed and it has the past tense meaning. So when you say she cried softly, the meaning is that sometime in the past she engaged in the act of crying softly. So the ed marker on this item tells us that the word that we're adding onto, in this case cry, must be a verb. It passes the test for what is a verb. And when we add softly, what is that doing? It's describing the manner of the event of crying. It's not that she is softly, it's that her crying takes place softly. So notice that again, we have the ly at the end, and we can see that what we started out with here was really an adjective. You can say she is soft, where soft is functioning to modify the noun. Add ly to the end, and you get an adverb. So you can think of many examples that would fit this pattern. Quickly, slowly, softly, nicely, rudely, kindly, abruptly. So there are lots of different types of adverbs that form with ly. However, keep in mind that we also have, as we always do in English, because this is English, we always have exceptions. So, for example, when you say, she cries often. She cries often. How do we know that cries is a verb here? You know that because we have the third person singular s. How do you know that that's the third person singular s? Because the subject of the sentence is third person singular. If this were the plural marker s, what would it mean? It would mean that the crying is somehow plural. There are many events of crying, something like that. That's not the case. It refers to an event. So this is third person singular, present tense marker s, which tells you that cry is a verb. So she cries often. What is often doing in this sentence? Often is functioning as a modifier of the verb cry, because it's telling you how frequently does this event happen, and often is saying that it happens frequently. So often is modifying something other than a noun, therefore it's an adverb. Notice, however, it does not have ly at the end. You can't say she cries oftenly or something like that. She cries oftenly doesn't make any sense. So there are adverbs in English which do not appear with ly. However, most of the adverbs in English do appear with ly. So they follow that process of quickly, slowly, etc., recently. And so what you want to do if you want to know whether something is an adverb or not, see if it has ly. If it does, most likely it is an adverb. But check to make sure that it's modifying an event or something other than a noun. So for example, in the examples we've looked at of adverbs, we have adverbs modifying verbs, but you can have an adverb modifying an adjective. So you can say, she is very tall. She is very tall. What is she being described as? She is being described as having the property of being very tall. But within this description, very tall, we can see that very is giving us information about tall. Because what would the sentence be if you didn't have very? She is tall. So now you're just saying, point blank, she has the property of being tall. But when you add the word very, what are you doing? You're increasing the meaning of tallness. So she is very tall. In other words, very is not telling you about she, right? You can't say she is very. Like very what? You know, you say what? She's very what? So you need to have the adjective there in order to have this item, which is then modifying the adjective and is therefore itself an adverb. So something that modifies anything other than a noun is going to be necessarily an adverb. And it can appear typically with the ly ending, but oftentimes not with the ly ending. So for example, oftentimes tells you how frequently does it appear with the ly ending, and it's therefore describing the event of appearing with the ending, and so we want to classify it as an adverb. However, it doesn't happen to have ly because we don't say oftentimes, we just say oftentimes. So think about the meaning. If you have a word that is modifying something other than a noun, it must be an adverb. Okay? And what we're going to do when we come back is talk a little bit about the arguments from the syntax for distinguishing these different categories from each other. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. If you want more examples of anything, just send me an email, send me through Blackboard an email, and I will get that soon. Thank you.